All right. Hey guys, can you hear me? Okay, just put it in the chat. I don't even know if you could hear the music that I had playing, but we had that on. Okay. Thank you, Emily. Thank you guys. Yay. I am so excited. It's only 2 minutes in, so we may have some more people come in. Oh, good. I'm using a mic and everything. So very excited for that. Well, yay, welcome. It feels so weird to like be having an event. I get to see all your beautiful faces. So thank you for having video on. It's just so cool because I've done a few webinars or like my Bible studies through Zoom, but never done an event with other speakers as well. So it's gonna be a learning process. Bear with us if we have any technical difficulties, but hopefully it will all work out well and go smoothly. I love seeing all of your comments. Love how you guys listen to the podcast. You got your journal ready. That's awesome. So going into who's speaking, I know we've posted about it on social media a lot because I'm thrilled to have two of my friends speak here today. And I just want to say thank you to both Lauren and Kiara for joining me and for taking time out of your day to speak to all these lovely ladies. So Lauren will be up first speaking about personal branding, and you're going to hear her amazing story. And then we'll have Kiara, one of my YouTube friends, talk about being a YouTuber in 2020, how she got started, as well as how you can start working with some brands if you're interested in that. And like I mentioned, I will be speaking about going from being a content creator to doing a service-based business to then doing a product-based business, the pros and cons, and also if you're interested in starting any of those yourself, like the first entry level things you have to do to get started in any of those fields. So now that you know a little bit about me, oh, wait, before you introduce yourself, here's the timeline. We also posted about it in EST time. It's very flexible, may end longer, may end probably shorter is what I'm thinking, but I wanted to give us a ton of time. Of course, if you guys have questions, you'll have time after each speaker to ask those as well. I want to share a little bit about how I know Lauren. We've been friends. I think this is going to be like our 5th year being friends, something like that. I found Lauren through Instagram, good old Instagram, my sophomore year of high school. And at the time she had her own publication, her own magazine, and I got to intern or work with her through that, do some social media stuff, work with her on her YouTube channel. We've also been able to meet up twice in person at StyleCon Dallas, a good old blogger event. And then also I got to be at one of her own events in Atlanta one year, which has been amazing. So we're online friends, but offline friends. And I've wanted to have her on or at one of my events for so long. And I'm so happy that it's finally happening. And she has some awesome platforms that are so inspiring, which I know she's going to tell you all about. But Lauren, are you ready to go? I'll let you take over the screen share. Make sure you're unmuted and all of that.
Awesome. Okay, what is up, you guys? I'm so pumped to be here. Thank you so much, Hannah, for having me. This is the coolest thing ever. I was reading through some of your comments, seeing all the places that you're from, and so I think it's just so exciting that we get to all hang out today. So welcome, and we just moved to Austin, Texas, so you guys are actually propped up on a moving box right now as we're moving in. So, but I'm really excited to be here and to jump in. So today I'm going to be speaking about how to find your personal brand. And then I'm going to go ahead and share. Let's see.
All good.
Amazing. Okay, great. Awesome. I love when technology actually works. Like I'm a fan, but just when it works, it's like perfect. Okay, so how to find your personal brand with Lauren Taylor. So a little bit about me. If you guys follow me on my Instagram at Lauren W. Taylor, and I've seen one of my Instagram lives. First off, I am a gigantic solo dance partier. It kind of happened by a happy accident where I just posted a video of me dancing one day to all of my awesome dance moves, and it became a thing. So I'm a model, aspiring novelist, Disney marathoner, so shout out to everyone who still loves Disney Channel, self-love advocate, hype woman, BFF who brings the dance party. Really believing in celebrating all women and encouraging women all over the world to love their real self. So I'm a gigantic advocate for diversity, inclusivity, self-confidence, self-love. I probably talk about it way too much, and also just not enough. I basically started on the East Coast in a tiny town in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and it was so tiny that I actually knew my mailman. So it was really, really small. And from there, I was in my bedroom and I was just kind of dreaming of getting out of a small town. And I always wanted to travel the world. I wanted to model. I wanted to not only be in magazines, but eventually create one. And so it kind of just all these ideas and dreams swirling around, but I didn't quite know what that looked like on paper, or even how I would do that and also pay my bills one day too. So basically what happened was once I decided to move closer to the ocean, because shout out to Moana, I love the ocean just like she does. And I wanted to really just kind of have like a clean slate of, okay, like how can I tackle all these dreams? So I moved to Orlando, Florida, and I absolutely loved it. I started a YouTube channel, started a publication, which Hannah was a part of. And it's funny when you're thinking about like your ideas and your dreams and your personal brand, and the number one question that I get asked is like, how do I start? Like, what does that even look like? And so for me, it was kind of just like I'm going to first Google it. And Google is a funny thing. It tells you a lot of things, but then at the same time, it's kind of hard to navigate like exactly like how to even start on something. So when I was trying to figure out how to start a magazine, which really pivoted me towards tons of other things in personal branding, the first article that I came across was don't do it. So that was kind of disheartening. But then the second article that I came across was different founders and editors-in-chiefs talking about how much they loved a publication and storytelling and everything. So I decided like, okay, for one, I knew I couldn't do this by myself. And so I gathered a ton of my online friends, Hannah included, and I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just pitch them this idea that I want to start a publication. And then I went straight into just teaching myself design, teaching myself the different platforms and everything. And we created it. And then from there, it opened up different doors in the brand ambassador world and personal branding. So it's interesting, I think with personal branding and just with my journey, that publication really kind of kicked off everything else. So I ended up getting an opportunity in San Francisco, California, to work with a fashion app company that works with a lot of infamous YouTubers. And it was really eye-opening to see the business and brand side of things versus just like the influencer and brand ambassador side. So I got to travel to Fiji, Maui, New York, Hawaii, and I would create different events for influencers, and I would also deal with like photography and just the visuals and marketing of a personal brand. And then additionally, I got into modeling, and so I was able to model with Aerie, Lily Pulitzer, Southern Wedding Magazine. I probably have tried on more wedding dresses than I could tell you. And I also worked with resorts, the Charleston Harbor Resort, and then Nick's recently that I became an ambassador of them, which is a phenomenal Canadian company that celebrates all women. So kind of all this stuff was like, you know, swirling around and my start of everything. And I was like, okay, like, what do I do with this? I now have this platform and I have these really great partnerships going on. So what does that look like and how can I really instill a personal brand? So I think the very first question is like, what do you want to be known for? I think a personal brand statement is simply a term about your epic skills and what makes you special. You know, it gives others a quick look at your superpowers and how you can be beneficial in their life. And if it's captivating enough, then people will recognize you and remember you and want to be a part of the magic that you're creating. So, you know, this to me was so important because when I start thinking about like gosh, what do I want to be known for? Like when I'm not here anymore, like, you know, what do I want people to remember me by? And for me personally, it was always, I want people to feel inspired. I want people, especially women, I want them to feel confident in themselves. I want them to feel like they can do anything. So that's really the messaging that I started putting into my personal brand. And so a couple of examples here, you know, just in case you're kind of running stuck in like what you want to be known for. I pulled a few of these, and then some of these are also my own, but it's basically, if you're going to take a line saying, okay, what you're going to do and what you're about, right? So for example, I encourage women to love their real selves as a self-love advocate and low self-esteem destroyer. So the other thing too that I really love about these statements is you can have fun with them, and you can, you know, create it where it's not so, I want to say like business-like. Like you can have, you know, a little bit more fun and playfulness with the titles. A few other titles that I really like, you know, Disney connoisseur, or if you're really into lifestyle content, then maybe you're the VP of lifestyle content, or you're the VP of positive vibes. And just to kind of have that personalization when you're speaking about what you want to be known for. Another really great one is if it's got to do with planning your content that makes it organized and fun in a busy world, I'm your girl. I'm, let's just say, Hannah Ashton, the OG planner for gals on the go. So again, you exactly know like what she's about, what she wants to do in the world. And it just helps to really resonate that messaging for what you want to be known for. Okay, all right. So my girl Lizzo, I don't know if you guys are Lizzo friends, but I'm literally so much fans of her. I stalk her Instagram all the time. But another really important thing when it comes to personal branding is thinking of the person that you would love to work with, right? It's when I took a marketing class in college, I actually had to go through college a couple times because I don't know about you, but school is hard and it just never really stuck for me. But I'm about to graduate in December, which is awesome. So in one of my marketing classes, we really got into the depths about, you know, your demographic, your target audience, all these people. But something that really stuck out to me was more so about pinpointing that person and who they really are. Because I think sometimes it's hard when you're trying to create a personal brand to think of it in the terms of numbers and demographics. Like, okay, they're from the East Coast, or they're from Canada, they're in this age group, they're you know, female, male. Like, I want to break it down more than that. I want to get to the nitty-grittiness of the person. So this is what I would suggest. You know, what's his or her name? What makes her lie awake at night worrying? What does a perfect weekend look like to her? You know, what sets her soul on fire? What was her leaping out of the bed in the morning? What does that look like? Like, when's the last time that she cried? These are questions that I think really help develop like the actual person that you're speaking to when it comes to your personal brand. And, you know, for me, like if I were to envision my person, this is definitely, you know, I would imagine her name being like Atlas. And she's my audience bestie because she has an adventurous soul. You know, she's all about changing the world and making an impact in women's lives. She struggles with self-confidence and knowing who she is, but she loves to learn and wants to inspire other women to do the same. You know, she lives on the East Coast and is always down for some good food and hanging out with friends. All of these things, all of these, you know, personality traits and everything. It's really, really helpful to know this stuff. Just again, because when it comes to your Instagram writing or what you put on your website or even your YouTube channel, this is all going to be really helpful because then again, you know like exactly who you're speaking to, and it's not just a number, it's an actual person. And so again, you know, one thing to be really clear about before jumping into any of your brand or marketing activities is your target audience and having that specific person in mind. And so, yeah, and these two are actually from Like a Boss. If you have not seen that movie, you definitely should. It's a fantastic movie about best friends. Okay. One of my like favorite things about personal branding is definitely the aesthetics. But I've had to learn, just quite like a few things about aesthetics. And so the one thing is that personal branding is more than just sticking to the same theme on your Instagram feed. It's about how you can make a person feel and the vibe your brand provides to your audience. So for me, as soon as you come to my Instagram or anything with my personal branding, I am jumping around like a lunatic. I'm super happy, joyful, confident, showing that excitement, inspiration. And for me, those are all the things that speak to me, and those are all the things that I want to attract to my audience bestie and that I want to build my community around, because I want it to feel inviting. I want it to feel like you're coming over to a friend's house and you're just hanging out and we're just talking about all the things. And so these are the things that really I try to instill in my words and my visuals. And the other thing too is that color plays a gigantic part in that. And I didn't quite realize that until I started creating, my website and my Instagram and everything like that. So, for example, over here, with some greens and pinks, and some light baby blues, that can feel really elegant and playful and joyful, versus something that's more neutrals and light, that can feel very, effortless, or very free. And so it really just depends on what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go with your personal brand and what that, looks like to you. So, and I think in even determining that, when you ask yourself, like, okay, so what do I want people to feel when they come to my personal brand? Like, what does that even look like? I think for me, it was really helpful to go to other personal brands, whether it's Oprah, which I love her, or Zendaya, or whomever, and just asking myself, like, what do I feel when I go to these accounts? Like, what am I feeling when I see these people and I'm like, man, like, okay, I'm feeling either inspired or encouraged or happy or entertained. Will Smith is a perfect candidate for that. He is constantly entertaining, and so is Lizzo. And so I think those are the things and emotions that you can pull from other brands, especially if you want to include that into your own brand. Okay, so finding your heck yes niche content pillars. So this was such a struggle for me in my own personal brand. And the reason being is that I just had such a hard time figuring out, well, what the heck do I talk about? Like, there's so many things that I want to talk about. There's so many things that I want to do. I'm just the type of person that just wants to go, running rather than crawling or walking. And so I really had to sit down with myself and figure out, okay, what does that even look like? So a niche content is content created to resonate powerfully with your audience besties in order to drive them to your content wanting more and more. So a niche content can be a great tool for building a better connection with your amazing community. So here are some examples of niche content. So it can be style, home, what you're binging on Netflix, what you're reading, your reading binges, your DIY, recipes, relationships, body confidence, your vision and goals, self-love, travel, wellness, personal. All of these things, think of it as like a gigantic umbrella, right? And then when you get down to the niche of it and breaking it down, like, okay, we're going to talk about body confidence. Well, what about body confidence? What is it that you resonate with body confidence on? Is it the body confidence because you've been bullied in the past and you want to speak on that? Is it body confidence because you want to figure out different ways to make sure that everyone is feeling confident about their body? Or you just want to celebrate all body types? Like, these are the things where you start to break down these umbrellas so that people can start to resonate with your story more personal. This is what makes a personal brand. It's you and, you know, your brand itself in a perfect marriage together. And for me and my brand, the things that I really dive into are self-love. And it's self-love, you know, within myself. Like, I have definitely struggled with my outward appearance. I've struggled with acceptance and rejection and all of these things. And so I want to not only teach other people, but also myself, and encourage myself through that self-love journey that I've taken. Another part of my brand is body confidence, vision, and goals. My gosh, I have so many vision and goals. And so I want to take people along that journey and how I'm figuring everything out. Because the thing is that with a personal brand, it's not to have like this like perfect picture and this like perfect thing going for you. It's more so, I believe it's more so about telling your story and then connecting that to, you know, what you're doing in life. And connecting that to your career, and really making sure that that resonates with people, and they feel like your brand is humanized, and that they can reach out to you and they can feel comfortable with you about anything and everything. Okay, so my creative process. I was so tempted to put, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Lizzie McGuire or anything, but there's this gif of her, like her head's like spinning. I was really tempted to put that, but because sometimes my creative process is just all types of like wacko crazy. So the one thing, this is gonna be like, okay, kind of weird, but the one thing that gets my ideas going is actually taking a really long shower. I don't know why, but like for some reason, we always have our best ideas in the shower. So I would be like, you know what? I mean, it gets you clean and then you have really great ideas. It's a win-win situation. So that's the first thing that I do. But then the second thing is a brainstorm party. So for me, I do not think that any idea is dumb or stupid or anything like that. I write everything down. If I need to take a long shower or dance it out, I'm going to just think of all the things and I will put it down in a notebook. Because you never know where a simple idea can take you. It was crazy. So recently, as a great example of this, you know, with everything going on in the world right now, I really struggle with being vulnerable. I struggle with speaking up about important things that matter to me. And I recently put out a video on my Instagram, just sharing some of my own experiences when it came to race, when it came to, you know, my culture, when it came to all of those different things. And I was so tempted. It was just an idea. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to film this. I don't know if it's going to do well at all, if it's going to backfire. And I filmed it. I put it out there. And I don't know if you guys have ever just uploaded something or like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to delete this. Like, I don't think I'm going to keep this on there. But I didn't delete it. And then it ended up going somewhat viral. I think it got 137,000 views. And so many people, thousands of people shared it. And I was like, what the heck? But that just goes to show that, for one, again, that was just an idea, because for me, my creative process is just expression, essentially. Like, I was feeling a certain way and I was like, you know what? I just want to express this in a creative way. And so that's what happened with that video. And so many people resonated with that. And I think that's the other thing too, in your creative process, when you're creating content and when you're brainstorming ideas, I don't think anything is, you know, dumb or stupid, because so many people can resonate with, if you want to do an article about, you know, your own self-love journey or rejection or friendships or anything like that, or a YouTube video about that. So many people out in the world can resonate with that. And I've always been an advocate for, you know, don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about like how many people are going to look at it, because you know what? It could just go viral. It could just like blow up. You never know. So you should always try. The next thing is a content calendar. So Excel and I have a love-hate relationship, but I will say this, Excel is a really great platform to like keep your content in. I am such a big advocate for color coding everything. My email is all color coded. And so I think that is really helpful, just again, to like put all of your ideas, put deadlines, like make it all organized. Or of course, use the Dream Achieve workbook as well too, especially now that it's digital. So that's a great place to like just house everything that you have going on. The next thing is networking. So here's the thing. I feel like it is so important, just looking back over, you know, all the things that I've done. I'm only 28 years old. And so from everything that I've done thus far, all those things would have not been possible. Everything from the modeling. I've also been working with Ari and ending up in Times Square, like traveling, all the stuff. It would not have been possible without me networking, without me building a community. And I think that's the thing. It's like, there's so many people in the world. And for me, like the more united you are with other people, the more people that you introduce yourself with, that you reach out to through DMs, the more people that you get into your circle, then I feel like you are just, you know, bound for success in your personal brand. That's creating connections. It's having people, you know, look at your stuff and talking to you and really creating this powerful house of amazing people. And so I think that we are really, you know, strong individually and great, but I think more so being together and just having your tribe essentially can really just help to make your dreams come true. Okay, so I love this GIF, it's my favorite. But so honestly, in all of like personal branding and ultimately, like I feel like the number one thing that people need to make it happen, to create all the things, is just, you know, confidence in yourself. Like there's been so many times where people have told me, okay, that's not possible. You can't do this. It's not going to happen. And I have proven them wrong over and over and over again. And so you just have to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be enough that somebody else is going to be doing that for you. Like you have to have that within yourself. And so for me, like I just want to encourage you guys that it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be all like pretty and untouchable. Like if anything, a personal brand should be touchable. People should want to reach out to you and talk to you and hang out with you and connect with you. So that is the best advice that I can give. And I really hope that, you know, you guys took something from this and was inspired by this. And definitely these are my socials. So for sure, reach out to me. I would love to see your personal brands. And thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. That was so good. We're going to take some questions if that's good with you.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Perfect. Well, while people kind of think of what their questions are, and you guys can just put them in the chat, or if it's something you want to speak out loud, I can unmute you and we can do that. Just let me know in the chat. One thing though, Lauren, just some takeaways that I have is, first off, going back to networking, is what inspires me about you is that you're able to work with such huge brands, even as someone who doesn't have 1 million followers like me. Like we're not at 1 million followers, but that hasn't prohibited us from working with, for you, brands like Ari or being on the Gold Digger podcast. And is there any way, like, or any advice you would give people on how to put yourself out there without like leading with, oh, I have 500,000 followers? Like how do you get into people's inboxes or make those connections?
Yes. So, this is so good. Because, and I'm so happy that it worked out this way. Till this day, I have never, ever, ever sent over my numbers unless later requested in the first initial email and reaching out to brands or even speaking to people. Because I personally feel like when you lead with a number, you almost become a number. You like lose that, you know, person that you are and what you have to offer. And so for me, I think the best thing that you can do is show what you got. I mean, that's the thing that I have done with my brand. I have said, okay, look, I can create all these things. I can go over and beyond. It's more about when a brand comes to you or you go to a brand, you have to think about, okay, what can I do for them? And how can I make their brand even better? What can I add? You know, what's my special sauce? What's my superpower? And so leading with that foot, I think has really just shown that it doesn't matter, you know, at the end of the day, like where you are number wise per se, because I think brands, at least when I was working for a brand, they looked at it 2 different ways. Either one, that for sure, like reaching out to like big influencers for their audience because they want to be seen to more eyes. But then there's this other part where they want real people, because at the end of the day, their customers are real people. So they want people to relate to those real people. And so they need both. So as you're growing your audience, as you're growing those numbers, that doesn't mean that you have to wait years upon years to reach out to a brand, because they still need, you know, the amazing content that you're creating and the real person that you are.
So good. And I think also for you, what helps is that your photos are such high quality and you put out such quality content. And so it like elevates you to that level. But as you said, you're connecting with people on a real level too. So I love that. And we have some awesome questions in the chat. Would you rather me read them out to you, or would you like to read them?
Oh, you can go for it.
Okay, whatever is easier for you to process. All right, so we have an awesome question from Ashley. She asks, if you don't like to post photos of yourself, what's the best way to share the authentic parts of your life?
Oh, great question.
I've never thought about that before. That is a good question.
You know what? So if you don't like to post photos of yourself, so from a photographer's perspective, right? I think then in that case, figure out what you do like to post photos of. So if it is, if it's memes, if it's GIFs, if it's photos of animals, landscape, outfits, something. I think that you definitely don't have to be the subject of your creativity. That's totally okay. But figuring out what drives your creativity, what are you drawn to visually, and then figuring out how to post that stuff, like how to post those things. Or you could do it the illustrative route. Like I love illustrations, I love quotes. And so I think that's really big as well too. Like your words could speak more than a photo, just like that quote and saying that words are worth more than a photo anyways. And so you could get into illustrations, you can get into quotes. To be honest, I've even seen accounts where they literally, all they post is like colorful photos, almost like a color block, and then they just write whatever they want to write. So honestly, the sky's the limit. But my best advice is to always figure out, okay, what are you most attracted to creative wise? And then what would you like to post? And then figuring out a way what that looks like visually, and then just post that. Like it totally does not have to be you at all.
Such good advice. I love that. Talia asks, best components to include in a media kit.
Oh, great question. So I'm actually reworking my media kit right now. I think, so of course, like my manager has told me, keep it a 1-pager, super simple, which I like. Like I kind of like just like push things where it's just like, okay, like got it as soon as you kind of just look at the 1 page. I think having a photo of you, having all your contact information, having a really great elevator pitch of a bio. I mean, your bio should be something that people instantly like know, okay, like this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is what I do. I think having those 3 things are really great to have in your bio. And then the next thing is, now if you are starting off, I think that it's great to include on that page like some of your work that you've done. So if it's a YouTube channel, if it's a blog, if it's any sort of like portfolio work, put it on there. But if you're a little bit more advanced and you've done that, then I would say you can include some packages on there. So basically for me, like I would include my costs for my speaking engagements or my costs for modeling. I would include all of that on there as well too. So I think it kind of just depends on where you are in your personal brand, but definitely overall keeping it to a one pager and just making sure that you have your photo, your contact information, a little bit, about you, and then either the packages or the portfolio, or sometimes both, if you can fit it on that one page.
Yes, so good. Hope you guys are taking some notes, because that was like a full-on, you could do a whole presentation about media kits. You just gave such great advice. All right, Adelita asks, how do you continue being your authentic self, but also maintain your brand? For example, if you have multiple interests, different talents. I know you talked a little bit this about the beginning and how you kind of post about all your life, but maybe talk about a little bit more into all your different interests, including that into your content.
Yes. So something that I've learned with my brand and with myself, I am forever changing, as we all are. There's a lot of things that before just a few years ago that I absolutely loved that I'm not interested in anymore. So I think that making sure that your brand grows with you and that you don't necessarily put yourself in a box. So that's why I like to do umbrellas, right? Where for me personally, and keeping to my authentic self, I already know what my missions and values are. So, and they honestly go hand in hand. I know at the end of the day, no matter what I do, I want to make sure that I inspire women. I want to make sure that I'm a good role model for women, and how I define a role model. So that may be just making sure that I'm staying educated in current events and sharing that, or making sure that I stay kind-hearted, and that if I, see anything that really does matter to me, I speak up about it. Those different things. So I think just identifying for you and your personal brand, what are your values? What's your mission? Because that to me is probably the one thing that would per se not change, because it's more so about the core of who you are and what you stand for. And so I think identifying that, and then when you get into the content piece, I think that's going to naturally, you can naturally incorporate different things. And I would say maybe keep 4 main things when you first start off. So for example, with my YouTube channel, the first 4 things that I really started off on was self-love, career, lifestyle, and travel. Those things, even though eventually they started to look a little bit different, and I mean, since we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, can't really travel right now. So, those things looked a little bit different, but I still kind of kept those 4 umbrellas and 4 big things. And so I would suggest kind of figuring out, okay, what are my 4 big things? What are my mission and values? Keeping to that for a good while, and then start to test things. Start to test some new content. Don't just put everything out at once. I mean, if you are okay, I just absolutely hate travel, then take it away. I think the best thing about having a personal brand is that think of it as your house, right? So it's your house rules. It's what you want to do. You're the one who's, inviting certain people in. And that's really amazing, control to have. So I would just say that as long as you feel good about it and you feel strong in your values and your mission, then it's totally okay to, change your content as you grow and as you change. And I think your community will change with you as well too.
I 100% agree. As I'm going to share in mine, I started out with American Girl doll videos. And so I don't do that anymore, but so my audience has grown with me and grown up with me through high school and now in college. So great. I'm going to give you one more question. There's a few. So people, if we didn't get to yours, then you can ask them again at the end. I'll be there answering. I don't know if Lauren, you have to go, but if you want to hop back on at the end, you can. I can text you even if you have to get off. And if you want to hop back on to answer some more at the end, we can. But this one is from, I think, Dayana. What is a tip for practicing self-love, or how do you practice self-love and self-care?
Oh, such a great question. So and my boyfriend will tell you this. The best thing that helps me feel better, no joke, I will turn on some really just like full on Beyonce, Lizzo, whatever you got, music. And I will dance around my house, no pants on, like maybe a t-shirt on, and just like dancing all crazy and ridiculous and silly. Because you know, when that happens and you're just able to be like silly with yourself and like, I don't, in my head, I'm like, I don't care how stupid I look, I'm gonna just like go for it. There's something just that happens where it's like you start to feel like less pressure about like your insecurities or like whatever conflict you're dealing with, or you know, all the things. It just, for some reason, dancing really crazy and like silly, it just, I don't know, it just brings a lot of joy. So that's the one thing. And then the second thing is, I've started to really just take some time in the morning and just sit in quietness. It's so hard for me because sometimes my mind just like goes like a mile per minute, but I find that during that quietness, whether it's in prayer or meditation or whatever it is, I like to just spend time with myself and to you know, I'll write down maybe a few questions that I like want to ask myself. And even though that sounds kind of weird, but I think that sometimes life just gets so busy and we're just constantly moving and we're just trying to get to like the next thing. And we kind of forget to spend that time with us, and because we're changing so much, that I want to make sure at the end of the day that I know me. And so because I can't love someone I don't know. So if I don't know myself, it's just going to be a real struggle for that self-love. So I really like to spend time with myself. I like to ask myself questions. I like to, you know, just even listen to my own heartbeat. Like I really love to be self-aware, because then in that case, then once I get to know myself more, then I feel like, okay, I can practice that self-love. I can, whether it is dancing silly or getting a spa day, cuddling my dog, watching a Disney marathon of original Disney movies, like whatever it is, it seeps in more because I know who I am.
So good. I love what you said about you can't love someone you don't know. So you have to know yourself and spend time with yourself. And you do such a good job at personal branding that I knew even before you spoke that it was going to be pizza and Beyonce, because you just always talk about that. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. So insightful. I know everyone loved everything you had to say. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I wish you guys all the magic in the world. So thank you and best of luck.
Yes. And like I said, we can have you on at the end if people have more specific questions, but I want to go ahead and bring on, I know this is, hold on, let me move this Zoom. Now I want to introduce Kiara. Kiara, I think I saw your name in here. And I can't see videos right now, but put in the chat, Kiara, if you're good, and I'll introduce you.
Hey, can you hear me, Hannah?
Yes. Oh, and I see you now too. Awesome. So guys, this is Kiara Madisen. You guys are going to love her if you don't know her already. So a little bit about our relationship. We have known each other on YouTube for a few years, and we started YouTube, our channels maybe around the same time. I know you just celebrated your 6-year anniversary, so congrats to that. But Kiara actually just graduated as well from college, so she has amazing college content. If you like my college content, you are going to love her. And we really connected this past year, I would say, through some campaigns we've done together for college and back to school. But what's also so fun about us is that we have the same birthday, October 7th. Even though she's 2 years older. But it's so funny, in like on our Instagram DMs every year, we're like, happy birthday to you too. So that's a fun little connection. But Kiara, if you're all ready, I would love for you to start and share a bit about you and screen share it. Make sure you can do that as well. And if not, I will try to give you permission.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Hannah. I'm so excited to be here. Congratulations on your digital launch. I think you have always been like a big inspiration in my life. So it's really fun that we've become friends. And I learned something new, that you started out with American Girl doll videos, which is actually how I started. So now we have something
our age, like in our
I know. So that's really fun. And shout out to Lauren. That was such an amazing presentation. I honestly am really inspired and took a bunch of notes myself. But yeah, let's see if I can figure out this screen share thing. Oh, here we go. Surprisingly, I'm not like the most techno savvy of my friends. Oh, can you see it? It works? Okay, sweet. No, we're going to back it up. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about self-branding and working with brands. Oh, there we go. So how I built my brand, I'm going to go over influencer lifestyle, kind of what my day looks like, creating sustainability, how I've been doing this for so long and not getting burnt out, working with brands, and my overall advice in general. So first of all, I started out this channel, Kiara Madisen, that I have now in 2014. I was doing the American Girl doll videos before that. Super great time. Really learned how to work on my editing skills. But in 2014, the world of YouTube looked like a very different place. There was lots of beauty gurus creating this idea of perfection, like everything you had to do was oversaturated and really perfect. And it was actually something that was really intimidating to me because I was like, am I good enough? Like, is my house pretty enough? And all these things that are really stressful and kind of sad that they can deter you. So it was really a world of like, how can you sell your life? And there was challenges in comedy and trends, and there was a lot of fun things, but I'm really proud to say that YouTube, like our world now, is evolving and changing, and I think that's really good. So now when I look at like the typical creator, I think that people want to see reality, but they also want to be inspired. Like you cannot be a person who's constantly having like mental breakdowns all the time. Like it's good to show those moments because we all have them, but at the same time, like you have to be able to offer something because people watch you for selfish reasons. They want to be inspired or they're interested in a certain aspect of your life. So creating that balance and kind of trial and erroring that is really great. People want real stories and real personalities, and the vlogging creates the I'm just like you too kind of vibe. Like it's fun. I don't know, I'm starting to get into TikTok now, and all this TikToks of the girls who are like, you know, when you're looking out the window and like you think a music video is being filmed about you, and just all this random thing that feels like we're all brought together because we're living kind of the same lives is inspiring. And I think vlogging also does that, which is really cool. And there's a lot of similarities when people actually start to open up and share their lives rather than just hyper edited morning routines that are not even realistic. And then also in 2020, finding your niche and still evolving. So Lauren talked a lot about this, and I thought this was so great, that umbrella term. There was a lot of pressure to find your niche, and I'm like, gosh, I don't really know like what my niche is. I'm into so many different things, but I'll talk a little bit about that later on, of like how I kind of came to this acceptance point of taking all of my interests and making that my niche. Like you can't get so caught up in your niche because like Lauren said, you'll be in a box and you know, it's not going to be fun for anyone. And that's how YouTube channels die. Oh, here we go. So how I built my brand. Sorry, I'm moving my screen. I like seeing all your faces, but they're like blocking my screen. So I asked myself 3 questions. First, I asked myself, what do I like to watch? So I watch a lot of content creators that are in the same kind of college lifestyle content as me. I watch family vloggers. I watch a bunch of different people. So you really need to find out what and who inspires you and take little pieces of why you like watching them and adding it to your own videos. So a great example for me is music. Maybe if I'm really into the way someone is editing their montages with music, I'm like, wow, where can I get those songs? Like I like the vibe and I like how they pieced it apart. Everyone's obviously going to have their unique editing style, but being able to like pick out why you like to watch other people is probably what attracts your viewers to your own channel. So I think that's really helpful. And then the next question I ask is, what do I have to add? So I think it's really important to embrace who you are and what you love. You have your own passions and you really need to be open to sharing them. This is something that I have learned very recently because for a long time, skiing was never really a part of my channel. I was a ski racer all through college and all through high school. It's kind of a unique thing, and I know not everyone understands the ski racing world, but I found that it was really wonderful for me to share this on my channel and show that I have some unique passions, and I think it related to people, even if they weren't skiers, they could see how much passion I had for the sport. So trying to open up more. And it's something that I even now want to improve, of like, how can I be more open with my audience and really lay it out on the table? Because when we speak our honest truth, that's where you have the connection with people. And then the last question that I will ask myself for building my brand is how I can live my aesthetic. Now, this is a quote kind of from Drew Scott. He's a content creator on YouTube. He does a bunch of design work. He's super fun guy. And he said this in a video a long time ago, like right when I was starting YouTube and kind of like dabbling with building my brand. I'm also a STEM major, so this whole like media world is very different to me. It's not anything that I've really learned in school. It's just kind of what I've picked up by trial and error. But he said this quote, like, you have to live your aesthetic. And I was like, wow, that's so true. And it doesn't have to be impossible. Like, it can be slowly over time. If, you know, you want to dress with a certain style, you don't have to like drop $2,000 and get a new wardrobe. Like, it can be a slow evolution. And I think your followers and your viewers will love coming along the journey with you. I think it's something, you know, you go back to like my really old thumbnails and there was no aesthetic there, and that doesn't have to be the make or break it. Knowing that you have time and can evolve is really wonderful. So like Lauren had lots of great tips about the colors. This includes like filters that I use, colors of different clothing that I buy. Like, I will buy a lot of, you know, pale pink or pastel colored clothes so that I can go take photos if I'm out and about, and they'll just happen to match my Instagram feed a little bit better. But also, like Lauren said, you don't need to get stuck in, oh, I have to have like this perfect aesthetic. Like, the only colors that can be in this are these like 4 colors. It's something that I learned actually over the past year. I did an Instagram challenge from March of 2019 to March 2020, where I posted every single day on Instagram a feed post. And it really taught me a lot about what am I sharing? Like, I want to show the good times and the not so perfect, not so edited times as well. And it doesn't have to be so cohesive with the feed. Like, I just get joy by interacting with you guys. And if I'm so worried about finding the perfect puzzle piece to go in my grid, like, that's just a waste of my time and it's very inauthentic. So doing that challenge was really eye-opening, and I do recommend it if you ever are up for the challenge. I've done like a 30-day post on Instagram challenge, which is fun and helped me get some really awesome pictures of memories that I would have otherwise not captured. So life as a content creator. So these are kind of like my 3 areas that I feel like I focus on. I didn't really do an intro, but I'm a college student. I just graduated. I'm still in school. I'm planning on going to nursing school. So this whole content creation, I do it full time or whatever, but I'm also a student and I have a lot of other interests and things that I'm involved in. So these are kind of like the pieces of my life that supplement my main focus, which I think I get a lot of fulfillment from. So the first thing is brainstorming, making connections. I don't know, but I think my friend Emma Romano is on this live stream. If you are, Emma, hi. Emma has been one of my YouTube friends for years and years and years, and we seriously are like best friends. We both met simply because we watch each other's videos, and something that I do a lot, I think that's how Hannah and I also met, is me probably just commenting on all of your videos, random stuff. And I think content creators are so, maybe they'll watch other YouTubers, but they don't comment that much. I think it's so fun to like get the conversation started. Otherwise, you just feel like you're talking to a screen and it's boring. So here I am. This is a picture of me and Emma Top and Jade. She's awesome. This was when I went to VidCon last year. So I definitely watch a lot of other creators, and it's kind of a way for me to relax, but also educate myself on what other people are doing in the space. It's also a really good support system. And if this is something that you're seriously going to get into, you really need that. Like, you need someone to rant to at 3 o'clock in the morning when you lost all your video footage. Otherwise, it's a really lonely job. And at the end of the day, you are being accountable for yourself, and you're the one who's going to get a video up. Something that I was always so grateful for with my content creator friends, but also my friends in real life, was they would send me text and be like, Kiara, when's the next video coming up? And although some people could be like, oh, that's annoying, I always thought it was a really good motivator. Like, they were keeping me in check, and, you know, they were holding me accountable too. And it allowed me to grow and stay consistent for a long time. So I think that's really helpful. And then thinking. I come up with a lot of ideas simply when I'm walking to class. I don't listen to any music when I walk around campus. I just think it's a little bit distracting, and people probably look at me on campus and my face is so serious and weird, but really my wheels are just like turning in my head and I'm trying to jot down ideas. I have a whole note sheet in my phone where I'll write down video ideas, which I think is really helpful whenever you're kind of feeling like a lull, or titles will come into my head a lot and I'll be like, oh, gotta write this down. So making sure you always have either a note sheet in your phone to refer to backwards or refer to later, because you're gonna forget. And then tons of emails. That's something that I was like really blown away at. I get a lot of questions of how you deal with brands reaching out to you, and it is through email. I really prefer email. If a brand is sliding up in my DMs and is like trying to do business over Instagram DMs, I'm like, this is just weird. Like, it's very wrong. Please email me. Like, I do not want to do business over Instagram DMs. Learning professionalism, it's something I'm still trying to improve on. Like, how can I make my business email sound so professional? Hannah's really good at it. If you ever, Hannah, you should do like a whole talk about that. Then standing up for yourself and learning when to say no. This is such a big thing, because in my experience working with a lot of brands, I've had some sketchy things go down. And I just want to say, like, even if you are in contract and you think you are being treated unfairly, it is not impossible to get your way out of it. Like, it's never too late to say no. And I was in contract with a pretty big brand, and I was not liking how they were working with me, and I felt it was very uncomfortable. And in order to break the contract, I just had to send all the product back, and it was the best $10 I ever spent. So, just something to always keep in mind, like, never feel stuck. You have the power, and you know in your heart what's right, and you'll feel when working with a brand is right. And then the last thing is obviously execution and critique, making content happen despite a busy schedule. This is really hard to do. Looking back in my college years, I was on exec in my sorority. I was ski racing every single weekend, missing school for it at times. I was in one of the hardest majors at my university, still trying to have a social life, still trying to watch my Netflix show and make dinner for myself and shower. So it is really hard out there, and just know that, like, you can make it happen. You have the power to make it happen. One of the things that I do when I'm really busy is I choose the video I'm going to make that week based on how much time I had. So, for example, like, sit down videos sometimes felt so daunting to me, of like, I have to set up the lights and the cameras and I have to look perfect. I'm like, maybe, you know what? I just need to film a day in my life. I can just carry the vlog camera around with me. It's easy. And, people really like that content. That's what they're doing too, and they want to watch it. So definitely pushing yourself to still be able to make it happen. And then constantly evolving, which I've talked about before, of like, how many, I always use the morning routine example, and I just posted a morning routine, which is kind of funny, but how many day in the life videos can you do, and what is making you unique? What hobbies or interests can you share? And as a well-rounded person, you'd be surprised at how many different things you have to share about your life. So it shouldn't get old. You know what I mean? And then making it sustainable. This is really important. I, like Hannah said, just hit my 6th year on YouTube, and I've been on YouTube for longer than that. I don't even know when I started making my American Girl doll videos. But, sustainability is really important. And I have seen so many YouTubers get burnt out after a long period of time. And it's really sad. Like, you start with a whole bunch of friends in the space, and I look back and not very many of them are still making videos. So these are the 3 pillars that I try to keep in mind when I'm making content. First is surrounding yourself with good people. You really need to find friends that are supportive, who wholeheartedly believe in you, because there's going to be times where you're going to be down on yourself. You're dealing with some sort of weird crisis, and you just need a pep talk. And I think even having family members that are close to you, or, if you ever want to reach out to content creators, like, I'm so happy to give people a pep talk, because I think everyone kind of needs that sometimes. And then number 2, positive outlets. So I've talked a lot about skiing. Skiing for me was like a space where I felt like I didn't have to film, and it was like I wasn't Kiara Madisen. I was just a regular person. Like there's no pressure. And I thought that brought me a lot of joy. And I reached the point where I was finally really happy and excited to share that part of my life because it's something I'm really proud of. My skiing journey has like evolved over a long period of time, and I'm not the best at the sport, and I'm not like trying to advertise myself as some like Olympic skier, but it's something that I love and I'm passionate about. So having that as a positive outlet, I'm planning on getting into coaching this year, which I'm excited to continue. And then consistency and forgiveness. So I have my to-do list here because sometimes my to-do list doesn't get done all the time. Like I even have it next to me right here. This is like day 3 of to-do list, and there's still 3 things on it that just haven't made it. There's definitely weeks as a college YouTuber that I don't upload. I'm not perfect. I actually don't even have an upload schedule. So, I'm not like your typical content creator of like, I'm so routine and maybe I could be better, but that's why I've been able to do it for so long was because I allow myself forgiveness. Now, do I, skip more than 2 weeks? No, because that's when you get in like the danger territory. You really gotta, keep yourself in check and make it happen. But, you can't beat yourself up. Everyone's trying to do their best. And especially when you're growing, like it is an unpaid job. And so now people look at content creators and they're like, wow, they make so much money. But think about all the time that they weren't making money that now they're getting paid for because they had to build up their brand and their audience. So there's just a lot of different components to it. And I think that's just something to keep in mind. And then I wrote here, content is king and consistency is key. So if you are like sacrificing your content just to be consistent, then maybe you need to like reflect on, what you can do, like a different video idea that's still going to be really high caliber, but isn't going to sacrifice like your content. So I don't know. I just like that. I think it's fun. Okay. Working with brands. So one of the first things I have here is making it organic. I really pretty much only work with brands that I've heard of before. Like I have no interest in working with random brands that just, I don't see it's worth my viewers' time. Everyone says this, but you do turn down a lot of different things. Like it's not like we're just saying yes to everything. Definitely doing your research. This is something that I've actually reflected on more in the past month with everything going on. I want to do my research. Like I want to look at what this brand supports and really be careful about who I'm working with. And then interacting with brands that you love. That's something that's really great and surprisingly has brought me a lot of wonderful connections. I follow a ton of different brands on Instagram. And if I see a post that I genuinely like, I will comment on the post. I think, I don't know, I just assume that brands go through who their followers are to find people for these campaigns. Like I think it's a great way to do it. Another kind of like secret like tip or trick that I'll tell you is I will also tag brands in my tags part on YouTube. It seems like very random, but there's actually like 2 instances where I very like specifically know brands found me because of that, like because I had tagged them in a video if I had mentioned their product. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't know, doesn't hurt. Getting creative and saving inspiration. So I'm friends with a lot of people in the space. I totally am into flagging pictures if I'm like, oh, I just love that idea, because when it comes down to the day before a picture for an Instagram post is due and you're feeling really uninspired, you can scroll back through those and kind of get some ideas that will really help you out. So I do that. I also will create Pinterest boards sometimes, especially if I'm working with a photographer and I'm like, this is the vibe. I'm also really awkward in front of the camera and really bad at poses and like facial expressions. So looking at those Pinterest boards are really helpful because I'm really not a model. You just kind of have to fake it till you make it. And the inspo photos definitely help. So that's something I do. I already kind of mentioned standing up for yourself in that instance that I had. That's also kind of like knowing your worth. And I do want to touch a little bit about it because I think it's something that in the creator space, I tell all my friends that I'm really close with that are creators. I'm like, if you ever have a question and you ever have a brand deal that reaches out to you, like, just shoot me a text and be like, what would you do? Because if we're all so secretive about how like the deals that we're getting and working with brands, we're really just going to screw ourselves over, because then the brands are going to take advantage of these people that simply don't know what like a normal rate would be. And so I think like working as a cohesive team of creators is way more important than being hyper secretive and like, you know, everyone's out for themselves and everyone has bad intentions. Like I like to see the good in people and like to know, I kind of know who I can trust. So if you ever have questions about that, or even if a brand reaches out and you're kind of on that teeter-totter point, like, oh, do I work with them? Do I not? It's just good to get a second opinion. And something I really believe in and have felt strongly about from the very beginning. And I'm really grateful for some of my content creator friends who have helped me out in the same situation. The 80-20 rule, having 80% authentic content and 20%, you know, sponsored content. It's different for everyone. I don't even like, you know, actually count out my sponsored posts or whatever, but just keeping that in mind of like, people are here to watch your life. And that's great when you have something you're super excited about to share, but it doesn't need to overwhelm like your original purpose and content. And then if you're not excited about it, you won't want to do it. This is something that I feel very strongly about. If you get an email and you are not like, oh my God, this is it, like this is the moment, this is the perfect brand, the odds of you like being excited to share it with your followers are very, very low. And you genuinely will probably feel a guilt. Like it kind of like cripples you. And I hate that feeling. And I've only had it a couple of times, but I'm vowed to like never say yes to brands that I'm not genuinely excited to work with, because working with brands should never be a chore. It should be something that you're like honored and excited about doing. And then my last little tip here is to seek management at the right time. So I don't think I've really ever shared this on my channel, but I do have a manager now. I've had him for the past year, and it's been a wonderful experience. However, I have watched so many of my friends sign up for managements, and they just have a lot of flaws, and it's really hard to do your research, which is, again, why it's so important to have friends in the space, or to be able to reach out to, you know, if you're genuinely serious about this, like, please ask me questions, because I'm happy to help, and I'm really happy with my decision. But I know some people have like gotten wrapped up in contracts that are just like not very pure and it's messy. So really make sure you do your research. I'm also like a big advocate of not signing away, like knowing what you're signing up for, because a couple of years ago there was a company called Style Hall and they went out of business for obvious reasons, but they were a multi-channel network that would take girls' profit. They took 30% of everything I made on YouTube, and I never got anything from them, absolutely nothing. So being really careful, and even getting your parents involved is really important. Like my parents realized after that, like, oh, maybe this isn't just like a little hobby that our child is doing. Like maybe we should kind of pay attention more. All right, and then my advice. So obviously starting for the right reasons. I started my YouTube channel for a couple of reasons. One of them was because I had a friend who made American Girl doll videos, and she started making her own videos, and I thought that was really cool. And then the other was because I watched a girl, her name's Kiara. She went to USC. She's super, super smart. She's graduated now, but we're actually friends. And seeing how serious she was about school and how much her tips actually helped me as a student kind of got my wheels turning. And I was like, how can I help others and share my story? And also, I didn't really have a lot of friends at the time, so I had too much time on my hands. And maybe some of you are feeling that way too, like having a little bit too much time. You need a project to get yourself excited about, you know, waking up and doing something productive. Taking notes, something that's so great. I actually have been cleaning out my room, and I'm finding all these notebooks of different notes that I have written, and rereading them back helps re-inspire me and get my wheels turning about different ways to look at things. Developing a thick skin, like learning to laugh at the hate comments is something that's very powerful, and learning when it's okay just to like delete the comment and move on with your life. It's something that I feel like my friends have kind of instilled in me, and my parents. Like it's just really not that deep. And some people genuinely just don't relate to your life, or they don't know the full story, and that's why they're making assumptions. And hopefully that's something us as a society can stop doing so much, because it's the assumption comments that really get to you, because they feel like a personal attack. And then being ambitious, obviously very important. Chasing your dreams, always kind of like knowing what's next. Keeping the fire fueled is very important. You have to be motivated. stop comparing yourself to others. Oh my gosh, like this is my number one, and this is so hard to do. But I think like learning to celebrate yourself and celebrating others is such a wonderful skill to have. The comparison thing can be crippling, and every single person's journey on YouTube is different. It took me 2 years to get to 1,000 subscribers. Like that's a long time. And any time during those 2 years, I could have totally given up and said, hey, like this isn't worth my time. But because I started for the right reasons and I was still having a connection with maybe the 10 subscribers that were always commenting on my videos, that's what kept me going. So something just to keep in your mind, like you have to do it for you and know that your journey is unique. Thinking outside the box is something that's really great. Definitely, I feel like it's said so many times, like the college YouTuber industry is so saturated, like you're just going to be another one of them. But the truth is like you do have a unique story and you have unique interests that when you compile all of those interests together, like that is your story and that's no one else's. So knowing that like you have something to share, and that could be you're thinking outside the box, but also being clever about thumbnails or about titles, I think is something that will definitely help you stand out. And also like, I don't know, for example, I have a tree house in my backyard and I was like, you know, how many people have this really unique, weird tree house that their dad has built them? I want to share like this part of my story. So coming up with unique things that you may not think are special, but other people would love to see is really cool. Giving it time, so important. Like I said before, it took me a really long time to get to where I am now. And I'm really grateful for that time because I think people who blow up so quickly, they miss that evolution of like learning the process. And that's almost how they lose themselves. And I'm really proud of like staying grounded and knowing that I started for the right reasons and staying true to my morals and values. And I think I attribute it mostly because I grew over time and didn't just blow up overnight. So maybe it's a good thing that it takes you a while to grow. And then remembering who you are. I think this is such an important thing. I'm working on a video right now that's taking all of my old like childhood family home videos and watching those videos and seeing that little girl. I'm like, wow, like I remember who I am. I remember where I started, and that girl who was so sweet and said thank you to every single birthday gift she received. Like I am making content to make her proud. So remembering who you are and your morals and values, I think is so important. And that's it. That's all I have. If you ever have questions, you can DM me, or I don't know if we have time. If Hannah wants to, I'll just let you take it away. But thank you for listening to me.
No, thank you, Kiara. That was so good. Like I learned some things there. I'm going to start applying, like tagging brands in the tags of YouTube. That will be happening. And also, I just love how authentic you show up online. And I mean, even though we've never met in person, I feel like I just know you, especially through your speech right now. Like it just sealed that in, and like I just want to hang out with you so much.
I want to hang out with you. I'm gonna come visit you in Tennessee one day.
Oh my gosh, yes, when we can like visit and have, you know, events in person and stuff, oh, it'd be so fun. I know there were, yes, I know there were a few questions that came up, and if people want to add them into the chat, we can do a few now, and then again we'll save some time at the end if Kiara can come back and answer any more, or I'll be here to answer. So one that I thought was really good is from Ashley. How do you cope with losing followers because they don't like your new personal brand when you first take it up, or when you post your first sponsored posts? Because I know every time I post something sponsored, I lose followers.
Yeah, I mean, something I kind of look at unfollowers as, you know, maybe we don't need those types of people to be a part of the club. I'd rather have them unfollow than leave me some like really judgmental comment that is kind of out of nowhere. So I'm actually kind of grateful for the unfollowers. Is that like a weird way to look at it? I don't know, but I just think it's like, hey, whoever wants to stick around for the fun, stick around for the fun. And also, like, I do understand that it takes a long time to get trust with your audience, and sponsored content can feel fake. And although I think a lot of times from a content creator standpoint, like it is authentic, like we truly do love the brand. I think people have been burned before of what they bought products or whatever, and they've been unhappy. So it's something that you have to kind of develop with your own personal audience. But again, I'm like, there's so many other opportunities for me to gain back followers or gain back people's support. And I really only want people around who are going to be positive to my community. And so I'm like, if you want to leave, there's the door. Bye.
Exactly. Like, I'd rather have people that are here and positive than just a ton of people that, yeah, add to the negativity, and totally agree. We've gotten a few questions kind of relating to the same thing about how do you deal with maybe fear of being judged by your friends or family for starting to be on YouTube?
That's a really good question. I think my family was really happy that I was doing something productive with my time, so I didn't experience too much weirdness from that standpoint. But I did keep my channel a secret for a long time because I was afraid of it. I've never really told this story publicly, but my entire school found out about my American Girl doll channel because I accidentally logged into my Instagram with Facebook. And so it sent a notification to everyone in my school about it. And I will say, like, looking back on it now, it's really funny, but that was one of the lowest points in my life. Like, I was really questioning if I would ever go back to school. And I had one day left of school that I had to get through, and then it was summer. And it was a really like hard thing for me to overcome. But I was really grateful because I had like two friends that were really close to me, and they watched my videos and supported me. And I knew that people were talking about me behind my back. I mean, it's a reality. People are always going to say something, but I really like kept my blinders on and like really stayed focused on why I was doing it and surrounding myself with those positive people. And if you do those things, like, that's gonna allow you to keep going. And looking back now where I am, I look at all of that high school drama that I experienced, and I laugh at it now because people are really impressed with where I'm at. And you know, you kill them with the success, and that's how you get back to them. So do it for you and not for anyone else. You'll learn that soon enough, that your joy comes from within and from, you know, your close knit family and friends. You don't need approval of society.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that a lot of people who maybe made fun or thought certain things about you starting wish they started when you did so that they could be where
Right.
you're at now. I get that a lot of times too. And so for people who are worried about starting now, like, think even if you just start TikTok now or like a new platform that comes up, yeah, it may be weird at first, but 5 years from now, you never know what it can turn into.
Right. And that's really the only time I tell people the same thing. That's the only time you have time to do it. You can't be just maybe starting up as easily when you have a full-time 40-hour-a-week job. Like, if you're in high school or just starting college, like, this is the perfect time to be doing something, because otherwise you're going to have to start, and it's got to be worth it to you to like be able to make money. Otherwise you won't have time.
So true, so true. I lost it, but I know there was a question about how do you stay motivated? And so for 6 years or more, how have you got the motivation to continue to post?
A lot of it honestly comes from you guys. Like, the messages, that to me is like holds a really special place in my heart. It's something that I kind of thought of outside of the box of, hey, a lot of these like bigger YouTubers don't actually interact with their audience. They don't comment back. And it's something that I spend a lot of time doing, replying to my direct messages and all of my comments. I'm not perfect about it anymore. I used to be perfect. But I really try my best, and hearing people's stories, like, that's what motivates me. There are some amazing stories of people overcoming obstacles, and just like very impressive. So that really helps. My friends that I surround myself really help. Like, they're all go-getters. So having that circle is really important to me. And I watch a lot of documentaries. If, you know, you don't find maybe a content creator that really inspires you, I love watching documentaries. I love hearing other people's stories of overcoming adversity. And that to me, I'm like, if they can do it, I can do literally anything I put my mind to.
So good. And you never know who will be inspired by your story. Like, you doing all the amazing things, like being a part of sorority, YouTube, also having a hard major in STEM, and now going into be nursing. Like, that's an inspiring story that people can relate to. So yeah, you just got to start, and you never know who will find you. Um, Caroline asks, how do you navigate how much information to make public for privacy/safety sake? That's a good question.
That is a really good question. I think I always err on the side of caution a little bit more, and then slowly kind of decide what I'm going to share with people. I think relationships is probably the one area where I'm like very guarded. I mean, I'm open on my channel that I've never actually had a serious relationship, but if I'm just like talking to a boy or dating, like, there's no need for that to really be on the internet. And it's something that I actually was talking to my friend about the other day. Like, it makes it hard to be a content creator with this relationship thing. You have this whole piece of your life that is a little bit different. And I'm sure Hannah's like nodding. It's a little bit awkward. So that's one area that I'm pretty careful about. The only other thing is just being really careful not to show too much of like the front of my house or views or where I'm walking and where I'm living. People are obviously going to find out where you live, and I don't think I'm that controversial of a YouTuber to be like have stalkers or anything. I'm not that big, but it's just something to be aware of. So just being aware of your surroundings and using your best judgment. I talk a lot about my work with my parents, and I think that's helpful. Of course, they're like, super nervous and scared all the time, but just taking everything that they say in and making an educated decision. You guys are all really smart. And I think you guys watch enough YouTube to have heard some of the horror stories that have happened out there and can really like be able to use your best judgment.
Best judgment. Always a good way to go. Real quick from Paula, she was planning on moving into the US, which I know that a lot of YouTubers are in the US, so that seems like a good time to like start a YouTube channel, but she can't because of the circumstances. Do you think she should still start her YouTube channel where she's at? And I don't know if she's put where she's living now, or wait till she's in the US.
Definitely start early. It never helps to wait. The sooner you can get content out on the internet, the better you're going to be, doing. And it also takes a really good chunk of time where, at least, I guess I still do it now. I try to make every single video better than the last. And so when I was first starting this first 2 years that were super pivotal for me, I would try to use like a new editing technique or, introducing something new to push myself. And you can't really do that if you're not creating content. So you shouldn't feel like you have to wait. The viewers will come and they can always look back on your channel. And that's another really good point is like, when you do have that video that really hits it off, if it's going to be that big move to the US, you already want to have this pool of content on your channel so people can look back and follow the journey. I think it's so smart to start now. And there's so many videos you can make about why you decided to move, like things that you're thinking about, things that you've learned, and just sharing about your life so people can know you as the person that you are.
And the fact that she put in here she's in Spain, the fact that you're in Spain from Spain, like that is a unique selling point for your channel. Like you're going to be able to relate to people in your country, people looking to move there, to live there. So I think, yeah, start it now. I totally agree. Erin asked a really great last question for you. She said, first she said your positivity makes her so happy and she loves your energy. What kind of videos are you looking forward to making in the future?
Well, thank you, Erin. That makes me really happy. It just makes me happy to talk to you guys. I can't stop smiling because it's really cute to like see everyone's faces because I wish YouTube was like this where you could see people's faces like who are watching. But one of the things that, sorry, wait, I'm rereading this question. I got off topic. Oh, what kind of videos am I looking forward to making? Definitely opening up about more aspects of my life. I feel like I was kind of making all this college content because I knew I wasn't going to be a college student anymore. So I'm like, really shoving it in. But now I'm like, okay, the organizing videos and like more productivity. I really love like trying to promote people getting outside and like doing more. You don't have to like work out at a gym. You can find active activities that are like helping your body stay in shape but also bring you joy. And then obviously like the nursing journey is going to be in and of itself like very eye-opening of me applying to nursing school. I'm still in school right now because I'm taking my prereqs. I'm going to become EMT certified. So like all of these different steps, by the time like I'm literally out working as a nurse, that's literally 4 years. So I guess that'll be like my 10-year anniversary, another graduation. But yeah, definitely those things sharing on my channel. I'm moving in about a month. So that'll be exciting, a new place to decorate. And I love decorating if you watch my videos. So get excited.
Yes, I am so excited for all these. So good. Thank you so much, Kiara, for taking time out of your busy schedule and your summer to come on here and speak and party with us. I loved hearing.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to hear your presentation. I know it's going to be awesome, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you. Wow, there's my introduction. Okay, let me.
Yeah, there's your intro.
There's my intro. Let's do the screen share. Okay, so how's everyone doing? Are we feeling good? Just got a little bit more to go. I'm gonna put this on here. I try to do it where I can see some faces. I don't know if I should see the chat or if that'll just distract me. We'll see what happens. But now time for me to present a little bit about my story, all that I do, everything from starting on YouTube and then going into a little bit of podcasting, wanting to do consulting, doing events, and then launching the Dream Achieve workbook. So I thought I would give you guys a timeline of all of that. And then towards the end, I'm going to do some pros and cons of everything, and then as well as how to start either your content business, service business, or product business. So here is a rundown of the past few years. So in 2013 is when I started my Hannah Ashton channel. And then in 2017, I was in high school, and that is when I had my first real business, which was coaching. I did YouTube coaching and consulting, some courses, how to get started, how to grow on YouTube, all of that. And then it was in 2019, like I said, last June, where I launched the Dream Achieve workbook, which was my first physical product. So going into content creation and my story with that, I had 4 different YouTube channels over the past 10 years. Like we were just talking about, I started with American Girl Dolls when I was 10. And so that was one channel. I had a vlog channel, a craft channel, a collab channel, and then Hannah Ashton, which is where I'm at today. So it's been a learning curve for sure. And I'm really proud that I've stuck with it because it's what has become my main job. I was able to start making money from YouTube in high school. So that's 2 years after starting my Hannah Ashton channel. And yeah, it was just a great outlet for me as well as a job starting out. And then what I love even more from content creation isn't even the fact of like having so many followers on Instagram or having so many followers on YouTube or even having it be my main source of income, but the fact that it has allowed me to fund other projects and things I've wanted to do, which I will get into. So all about service-based businesses. So these are things that have happened in the past few years. So if you're new to my channel or you found me on Instagram recently, maybe you don't know I've done these aspects. But I started YouTube consulting actually after working with Lauren Taylor on her YouTube channel. And so working with her publication, she decided she wanted to start a YouTube channel. I had some experience, so I just worked with her on like choosing thumbnails, how to do YouTube SEO, that kind of stuff. And I remember her telling me, you know, Hannah, you're great at teaching this. I could totally see you doing this professionally, like after school or, you know, in college. And I was a junior in high school at the time. And I just thought, I want to do this right now, actually. Thank you, Lauren, for the motivation. And so over my Christmas break of that year is when I put together my first like official website. I had options where people could book the consultations, and I started out with just 1-hour sessions. So you would book, you would meet with me for 1 hour over Zoom, actually, before Zoom became the super cool thing. It was like a weird Skype at the time, but we would meet over Zoom. And then as I did that with a few clients, I realized that in order to really connect with clients and to see growth and to really help them throughout their YouTube journey, I wanted to work with them for a longer period of time. And so that is when I decided to create a 6-week course where we started from the concept of your YouTube channel, like the ladies talked about, finding your niche, figuring out what videos you want to do, all the way to editing and then uploading your first few videos. And so I did that for about 1.5 years, had some amazing clients. I love doing that. But as I was getting ready to go to college, I decided that that was just going to be too time consuming. I didn't know if I would have time in college to do all the prep work and then to schedule so many Zoom meetings throughout my college schedule. And so what I tried to do was create an online course. I think it was still maybe 4 to 6 weeks, but basically the clients would go through that on their own. And so it wouldn't have any one-on-one consulting aspects. And I went in here and put in that this failed. I thought it would be a great solution to people wanting to start their YouTube channel, but I realized that I guess the point that seemed so attractive to people about working with me was the fact that I could do the one-on-one coaching. And so, yeah, sold only one of those online courses, but decided that I was gonna put a pause on consulting for a while as I went into school. And then I started the product business, which we'll get into. The other thing I've done is in-person events. So I've hosted 2 in the past 2 years. The first one was in Knoxville, Tennessee, my hometown. And I had the idea to do an in-person event. Coming back from a big speaking event I was able to speak about YouTube at in Arizona. And I was a senior in high school. And I remember being on the plane coming back home with my mom and was just talking to her about how I really wanted to do my own event in my hometown, because everything I've done is virtual, virtual consultations on YouTube, podcasting, like it's all content and virtual. And I just would really want the feeling of all of us coming together and me being able to speak one-on-one with women my age or older, whoever it may be. And so I planned that all over the summer leading into college, and hosted the event, I think 2 weeks literally before I moved to college. And it was amazing. I will say, like, it turned out great. We sold out of tickets, but I underestimated how much work, time, and money it was going to take to put on this event. And so I've been open about it in podcasts and in YouTube videos around that time, that I got very burnt out just because I didn't know what to expect. And I went in full force, and it was great on the outside. Like, it looked like such a successful event, and it was, but I got burnt out from it. And then the second one I did was last June in Chicago, Illinois. This is a photo from the Chicago one. The bigger photo is the one from the Knoxville event. But this was great because I had a co-host who lived in Chicago, because I had never been to Chicago till then. And so I didn't get burnt out from it, but it didn't sell out. It didn't have the same, success, I guess, as the Knoxville one, but it was still a great learning experience, went much smoother. I could enjoy the event. And I wanted to share these experiences just to show you guys the different aspects of my career that I've done so far, and how it's not all perfect. And there's a lot of things behind the scenes that happen, and not every great idea or business you try is going to succeed. Or even if it does, there could be some repercussions as well, like being burnt out. And so, yes, I hope, my story can be motivating, but also show you guys the fact that it's okay if things don't work. You just learn and you move forward. So lastly, getting into about my product business, I had been in college for about a month. And at that time I was just doing content since I stopped consulting. And pretty much I got bored because I've been doing YouTube for so long. Like, I love doing it, but it doesn't always seem challenging. And that's why I always like to work on new stuff, like putting on this event or launching a new product. And so what I found in college was that a lot of young women in my class had planners, and I found myself using 2 different kinds of planners. One for school to-dos, so I could write out my to-do list, my homework every day. And then I had another planner where I could time block my day, because as I was trying to manage YouTube and starting college and classes and social life, I like to map out my day by the hour on super busy days. And so I was using 2 planners, and I was like, there has to be a better solution to this. And so I just started thinking to myself about what it would look like if I created my own planner page. Like, how would I lay it out? And I didn't know what it was going to turn into. I didn't know if I wanted to invest in do a full planner, if I just wanted to do a little ebook. I really didn't know what it was going to look like, but I just started drawing out what my dream planner would look like. And then, of course, had to research everything. It took about 8 months from concept, the idea that I had to do my own planner in September, to launch last June. But what makes the Dream Achieve Workbook special is that it uses the time management strategy that I find helps me be my most productive. So in the picture of the open workbook there, I have the to-do list on the left side of the page. So for every day of the week, you get a to-do list on one side of the page, and then on the right side of the page, you have your time blocking section where you can write in the times that your days start. And for me, I really wanted to create something that guided women. If you've never worked with planners or personal development, there's pages that guide you through that, but I wanted it to be customizable for their schedules and for their lives. I also decided to do it 6 months undated, which I will explain a little bit later why I decided to do that starting out. And I also wanted a sleek design. I hadn't seen a ton of planners that were just a black linen with gold, which I love that aesthetic, and it's not super clip arty and bright and colorful. I wanted to feel professional, like I could bring it into a corporate interview and make it look older, or not like I'm just a college student. And then going along with this business in April, this past April is when I launched the Dream Achieve sticker set that goes along in the workbook. And then in July, today, I launched the digital version because this past year I've discovered my love for my iPad and taking notes now on my iPad for school. And I wanted something that was going to work seamlessly for girls or guys who like to use technology to plan. So now I want to go into the pros and cons, and real quick, just so I know like what you guys are thinking, I'd love for you to put in the chat if you've ever wanted to do content creation, service-based business, or a product-based business. So one of those three, or two, or all three of them. Just let me know if any of those are something you're looking to do. Yes, all three, love it. Content creation, content, service-based, vegan nutrition plans. That's awesome. Content creation. I know Kiara gave some great advice for content creation. So that's awesome. So many of you guys want to do that. Product-based. Amazing. Well, what's so great about having an online business and a personal brand is that you can jump off, just like how I did, starting with content, then doing service, then doing product. Like the sky's the limit, especially if you start to build that following. So here are the pros and cons of each. I'll quickly go through. So pros of content, it's free to start. So you can use whatever device you're using right now to watch this on, whether it's your phone or laptop. You can use that to film and to edit. So it's free to start. It's great and of course easy to build an audience. And honestly, even if you're looking at just doing a business, I still recommend doing content creation because it's much easier to launch a business to an audience you already have. Even if that audience is 100 loyal followers who like love everything you post, you're probably going to have a better launch day of a business with that than not having any social media presence. It's also evergreen. So with having monetization on YouTube, I'm still able to make money off of videos I posted a year ago. And, I hope that continues to happen for the next 10 years. That'd be great. And so they're evergreen content. You also can make your own schedule, which is super great. For service-based businesses, this is focusing on like consulting or coaching, if you want to do like photography sessions rather than events, because it's easier to explain. So I think of that for service. So one is that you can charge high rates. If you're positioning yourself as an expert, people are willing to pay a high price for an expert or for, that service, like photography, wedding photography, that's a high price. So it's nice. You can do that with service. You get to work with others. That can be something that doesn't happen all the time with content and with product-based businesses. A lot of times you're just like in your own zone working, but with service, you can have that connection with your clients. And then the next one is you can have total control over everything. Like with content and sponsorships, the way to make money through content, through sponsorships, you don't always have total control. Like sometimes the brand asks you to do things that maybe you would do a different way. But when it's your own business, you can have total control. And there are a few startup costs, which we'll kind of get into what the startups look like for starting these businesses, but definitely less startup costs usually than a product-based business. So with products, I say you make money overnight. You make money while you sleep. You set it up and step away, meaning with a service consulting session, like if I'm going to give someone a photography session, I have to spend an hour or so of my time with that person, taking the photos and doing all that. And that's how you get money. Meanwhile, with Shopify and my e-commerce site, I can make sales while I'm sleeping because I did the work beforehand. You also have total control over all of your decisions and make your own schedule as well. Meanwhile, with consulting, like I said, I had to also take into account my client schedules. A few cons for content. I know it goes like 4, 3, 2 for cons, but I think it's all kind of equal. They're just less bullet points towards the end because there's a lot of little things that go into startup costs for products. But anyway, for content, you don't own your following. And so that's why it's important. And I recommend for anyone who's trying to grow in content or grow their influence is to have a website of your own and have an email list, like try to start collecting emails just because that's something you own. We don't know if Instagram will go away. We don't know if YouTube will go away. Really hope it doesn't. But, if something did happen, you're not legally, like you don't have legal ownership of your contacts of your followers. It can be very time consuming. All these businesses are pretty time consuming, but content especially, because it's constant. You always are having to come up with the next video, the next post. Also staying relevant. I don't mean this and like you have to be a super trendy, like on top of all the trends, but just knowing, you know, what's going on in the world, like being kind to yourself and like knowing when to post, what's the right thing to post when, taking into consideration social events, as we've seen, political events, just making sure that you're staying on top of those kinds of things is very important, especially like as we've seen during the past few months. The last con is that you are not going to make money starting out. If you're starting out with 0 followers, it's going to take maybe a couple years even, like Kiara and I both spoke about. It took us a couple years to grow, to make that few first 1,000 subscribers to start making money. So it really has to be something that you like to do. If you don't like to take pictures or to take video, then maybe you start your own business and hire out a content creator, hire out your marketing person. But if you love to do it, then I 100% say to start because it's free. For service, a con could be you need expertise. So whether it's an amazing client portfolio, maybe it's you've done it for years. For me, the fact that I was able to coach women in their 30s as an 18-year-old on YouTube is just because I had done YouTube already by then for 8 years. And so that's what gave me the expertise. Even though my age doesn't really reflect that, I still had the years put in on YouTube. Scheduling, like I said, working with your clients' schedules. And then services can often be hard to sell. Like when I started consulting, I hired a business coach to help me learn how to contact people through email, get them interested in my consulting, and then I would pick up the phone and hop on a call with them, and that's how I would try to make my sell.
I am, so no, I don't think it's fake. Oh, Hannah's back.
Okay,
good.
Thanks for taking over, Kiara. Wow.
No, I was like answering your question. Okay, I'm glad you're back.
I love that.
That was too stressful for me.
Thank you, though. I don't know what happened. I was like, oh, we're gone. Okay, hopefully they're all still there. All right, let me pull this back up. Were you done answering your question, or did you?
Oh, yeah, totally. Just go.
Okay. I want to stop that. So back to the last few pros and cons. So yeah, service-based businesses, like with consulting, I had to call the person, talk to them, and try to make the sale. And so even though you don't have to necessarily like hop on the phone, it can be harder to make a sale for a service-based business, because with a product-based business, you know, they just log on to Shopify or something and they can kind of work through it themselves. My computer is like so overheated right now. I think that's maybe what happened. Okay, and then lastly, with product-based businesses, there is a lot of steep startup costs. If you're interested in like the startup costs of my workbook, I talk about it. I talk about how it basically costs me the price of a small designer bag, because I don't own a small designer bag and I want one, but instead I decided to launch my workbook. So I talk about that on my YouTube channel if you want more information. But yeah, it can be expensive to get manufacturers, just depending on what your product is. And then of course there's challenges that come with shipping and fulfillment. Me and USPS are besties now. I'm there all the time. I've talked to all the representatives. And so it's just things that you may not see when it's like you have this grand idea of a business. You have to think about all the little aspects that are also a part of it. All right, so for all of those who are wanting to start in content creation, here are my 4 steps that I say just initially what you can do. Step 1 is figure out what makes you unique. Find your niche, as we've talked about multiple times, so I'm not going to dig into that, or at least find like what makes you unique and then lean into that no matter what your niche is. If you have multiple niches, just find what makes you unique. Step 2 is decide what 2 to 3 platforms you want to start with. I think 2 to 3 is perfect because I say at least 2 so that you can cross promote, and you never know what your content may do better on. So if you're good at shorter form content, then maybe TikTok is great. If you like longer form content, maybe YouTube or podcasting. And then whichever platforms you decide, cross promote, you know, share on TikTok. Oh, I posted a new Instagram or YouTube video, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then I say no more than 3 because you don't want to get burnt out or overwhelmed right when you're starting out. Step 3 is to test out different looks or styles till you find your look and what performs well. As Kiara was saying about, like live out your aesthetic, figure out what you like. And it's taken me years. It's only been in the last 2 years, 2.5 years that I've really gone with like the light blue, the white. Like even today, like I'm wearing blue and I have white background and gold. Like I just try to match my aesthetic with, yeah, Kiara, you got yours on too. So now like when I'm, looking for something to film in, I'm going to reach towards, the colors that I've been posting about, that kind of thing. And so figure out what your look is. It doesn't even have to be clothes or colors. It could just be like how Lauren talks about, pizza and Beyonce all the time. Like I just think about that when I think about her because of what she promotes on her channel. And then step 4, post very frequently, especially starting out, and engage with other creators in your niche. I was listening to a podcast that the YouTuber Maggie McDonald was on, and she's blown up on YouTube in the past 1.5 years, I would say. And she said that when she started her channel, she did a whole month posting challenge where for 30 days, every day she had to post on YouTube. Like she made it a challenge for herself. And she said that's really what helped a lot of people find her channel. And so even if you don't want to be that extreme, at least posting twice a week to your main platform. And just, I always say the more content you have out there, the more opportunity there is for people to find that content. Okay, starting your service-based business. Step 1, of course, knowing what your expertise is in, what you can help your customers with. You have to be able to give value, especially when asking for money in return. With content, it's free, but especially when asking for money, you have to be giving value. Step 2 is to create a website that people can book through or at least contact you through. So like I mentioned, I use Wix to start out with, but I've also heard of a lot of people using Squarespace. Both of those website builders have free versions, and you may not be able to have the booking feature on the free version, but you can at least start designing for free. Someone I love and who's a friend of mine on YouTube is Natalie Barbu. She currently does consulting, and she has a lot of videos and podcasts about how she manages her website, how she uses Squarespace. So she is a great resource if you're interested in that. And then step 3 is test out your services and different prices with test clients. This is so important for working out any kinks, for working out like what your value is going to be, what results you can get your clients. So even like going back to photography example, if you want to be a wedding photographer, like test out a fake wedding with your friends just to have a portfolio. Or if you're doing consulting, like ask someone who maybe wants help in their social media consulting for you to work them through your course. And you're going to do it for free. But in the end, they're going to tell you what worked, what they liked, what they think you can change. And so really having those test clients where you give them your services for free, but then get feedback in return is so important when starting out. And then step 4 is share about your services with everyone you know and on social media. This may be kind of scary, but talk to your friends and your family about your business, because if you're scared to even share about your business with friends and family, it'll probably be a lot harder to go up in a networking event and share about your business. And what's also great is that with friends and family, if they hear of another friend who needs some help with social media consulting, or they need help with social media, you're going to be first in their mind. Meanwhile, if you're just posting about your stuff on social media, it may be harder for those connections to happen. And so word of mouth is always great marketing. So share with as many people as possible. And then lastly, for starting your product-based business, I have 5 steps for this one. So step 1 is find the need or void your product will fill. In my entrepreneurship classes, like this is the first step. Like if you have this awesome idea, but it's not solving anything, it's not solving a problem, it will fail. And it's a hard truth, but it's better to find it out now before you invest tons of money into your idea and then realize down the line, like, oh, I guess someone created something like this already, or I guess this, problem was already solved. And then step 2 is raise or save money to manufacture your product and cover your startup expenses. Figuring out your finances, if you're not a finance person, it can be tough, but it again is so important to do that first before you pour money into it. You can raise money through funding, through crowdsourcing, through asking friends and family for investments. I do have a YouTube video on like breaking down some different ways you can raise money. What I'm, again, very thankful for my YouTube channel. What I did is I saved a lot of my YouTube income for pretty much a year. I had a savings and was able to start my business just paying, you know, all myself, didn't have to take out any loans or anything. So that's honestly my best advice to start, is if you can do it from savings instead of taking out a loan. But of course, depending on how much your business will cost up front, you may need more. And then step 3 is get lots of input and feedback before you start production. So doing surveys with your customers, like the potential customers. If you have a friend who you're like, this is the girl or guy I'm trying to sell to, like sit them down for coffee, take them out to coffee, ask them all these questions that are going to help you create your product. I did this with all my friends and with you guys on Instagram because you're my target customer. And so I gave out type forms, I gave out surveys asking for what you guys use in a planner, what you are looking for. And also start with an MVP. So in business terms, this means minimum viable product, which basically means you're going to create your product at the lowest cost point you can. For me, I still wanted it to be high quality, but at a lower cost point than, I don't know, like going full out, because you just have to test the market. And so for me, how I did this while still keeping it high quality is I wanted to pay the higher price for the quality of the pages and the cover, but I decided to do it 6 months undated so that people could start it whenever, instead of doing full 12 months, because that would increase paper, it would increase my cost per book. And especially since this was my first product I ever done, I just wanted to see if it was something you guys liked. And so that is one of the big reasons I made it 6 months to start out with. And now that I have them out and they've been out for a year, I have so much amazing feedback, positive and improvements for the next, you know, physical planner I do, if I decide to do a new launch. And then step 4, choose a place or website to sell on and create a marketing strategy. So this can be a website, or if you have a local vendor shop near you, or there's a small boutique you want to get in your hometown, or on Etsy. All these places are great to start. You don't have to have your own site. You can even get on Amazon in a few easy steps. And so figuring out a place you're going to sell. And then of course, creating a marketing strategy. Social media is great, but also if, you know, what you're selling is very local based, you think locals will like it, like get the word out locally through marketing in that. And then step 5 is plan a fulfillment strategy, figuring out how you're going to ship orders. You also take into consideration the cost of packaging per product. That goes into your expenses. For me, I decided to fulfill all my orders myself. So if any of you order a physical workbook, like it is hand packaged with me with a handwritten note, and that's just what I've been doing for the past year. But as you know, businesses get bigger, or you can even start out having it at a fulfillment like plant. So you send your products there and they ship it out for you. There's a few different options, but you also have to think about all of that. All right, so that is it. Sorry we had a little interruption there, but that is everything about my story, content to service-based businesses. I would love to take any questions you guys have, and I know Kiara has been answering some awesome in the chat as well, so thank you for doing that. Let me stop sharing and then we can take questions. Oh, this is a good one. How much was the startup cost for your digital workbook? So what I love about the digital workbook is that it was obviously way cheaper than doing the physical workbook because I didn't have to get it manufactured. So really I just paid for InDesign is what I used to design the pages of my workbook. So that's with Adobe. So I purchased that program, also some lessons on Skillshare I looked up and on YouTube about how to utilize InDesign. And then I guess just like my website hosting expenses, any marketing expenses, those were the startup costs of that. Sandra asks, how do you manage all your creative projects? I wish I could tell you that I use really cool like project management tools. Like I sometimes use Asana. I did a video recently showing how I use Asana a little bit, and I did that so I could plan this event and the launch and my other usual stuff. But normally I just take it month by month, and I think every month like, okay, what are the big things I want to get done in this month? Here, I have this actually. this is interesting. I got one of these big Post-it notes like around the new year. And so on here, I have like all the months and I just write down what I want to get done in the month. And then kind of work it into my schedule from there. So doing something visual and then figuring out where I can have time to work on each project. Oh, this is a good one. Yes, how have you been taking care of your mental health while balancing productivity and quarantine? So important. Honestly, I know the situation isn't the same for everyone, but my mental health is better when I'm at home rather than at school, just because I'm in like a place I feel very safe, you're very comfortable. Being out at school, like you're always surrounded by other students, everything's hustling and bustling. So the act of just being at home in my room definitely helped with mental health and feeling comfort. I also made sure to give myself limits for work when I'm home, and especially over the summer. So I usually work in the mornings from like 9 or 10 a.m. to 3 or 4 p.m. And then I make sure to put things in my schedule, like hanging out with family or friends that aren't work related. So giving myself boundaries is really how I take care of that. How did you create your unique font for your workbook? So on a lot of my little like Instagram stuff, sometimes it'll be my own handwriting, like the post I posted today, and I use like my iPad and Procreate. But I believe I got my font from either, oh, what is it called? It's like Creative Marketplace. If you Google Creative Marketplace, they may have it. And it's basically a place where people upload fonts and you buy them and you buy the license to be able to use them on, you know, things that you sell. Because you can't just take, you can't always take a free font and like put it on something that you're selling. So making sure you're buying the licensing to fonts and stuff like that. There's so many good questions. Oh. I'm trying to find one that I can go next on. Balancing college and business life. I know if you guys have asked about that. What do you do to set priorities? Yeah, again, I think about it in terms of seasons. So like during the school year, obviously school and my work and friends are a priority. Meanwhile, over the summer, I take a step back from school. I don't do summer classes. I've set that boundary for myself because in the summer, I want to prioritize family, friends, and work. And so that's kind of how I think of it in seasons. And then really just looking at my week and looking at my schedule and thinking, okay, like what is missing? Like, am I working all week? Am I just in meetings all week and then in class all week? Like, let me make some plans with my friends and like texting them right then. And so I think just being aware of all the places you're at. I think color coding your schedule is awesome too. I love using Google Calendar to color code, like when I'm hanging out with friends, when I'm doing work, when I'm doing family stuff, so that you can just at a glance kind of see, making sure that you're balancing all the aspects of your life. And it's also just giving yourself forgiveness. Like if there's a day where I'm just working all day, like it's okay. Balance is sometimes really hard and it's not always going to happen. So also forgiving yourself when it doesn't. How do you go about planning in-person events? It's like a long answer. So I'm trying to think of the podcast episode I did where if you go back on the Dream Achieve podcast, I did one right after my first event. So it would be in August of 2018. I know that's a while back, but I basically broke down like the whole aspect of getting sponsors, all of that. There's also a YouTube channel or a YouTube video on my channel that may be easier to find, but I feel like it's too long to answer here, but hopefully that can help you with planning events, Caroline. And also I recognize you from my Bible study, so I love that you're here. Aaron asked, this is actually a question that Kiara could answer as well. Yay, 2-year YouTube anniversary. How many videos do you plan in advance before you upload them? How do you come up with different ideas for filming? Kiara, do you want to answer this one first?
Sure. To be honest, I don't plan my YouTube videos that far in advance. Is that shocking? I don't know. It depends. I mean, obviously, a lot of videos when you're creating content about your life is based on when things are coming up. So your birthday, a sorority formal, something like that. So yes, those are like planned ahead. I'll probably know when I'm filming them. But as for like just a random week upload, I go to that note sheet that I was explaining earlier that I have in my phone where I have all of my random ideas. And I kind kind of pick based on what I have time for that week, but that's just kind of what I do. And I'll usually get my ideas from that list as well.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm the same. I wish I could plan and edit videos and batch through that. I recommend doing that if you can do that. For me, especially with the fact that I do a lot of like week in the lives, those are just the week leading up. I film and then edit and post it. So yeah, just looking at what the upcoming season is. So towards the end of July is when I'm going to be putting out a lot of back to school, back to college, like what is college going to look like in a COVID world. And so already knowing in my head, like that's what's coming at the end of July. And then that's as much planning as I do really, is just thinking about it. And then when the week comes, I'm like, oh, what video should I post this week? Is mainly how I do that. Neha asks, thoughts on putting friends and family and significant others on your channel / Instagram? Yeah, I know Madison, or I called you Madison because I was reading your name. Kiara talked about this. So for me, like when I had a boyfriend in high school, I really tried not to put him a lot on my channel just because I wanted to keep that relationship more private. And I just feel like it was better for us because he's not a YouTuber of any sort, so it just made more sense. With my family or friends, if they want to be on my channel, great. I kind of know now the friends and the family that do want to be in videos, and then those who don't. So I don't vlog a ton with my family or friends. Thankfully, my content you guys like is really just me, like how I'm managing my life. Besides some college content, it's a lot of just me and my strategies and plans. So they don't have to show up in them, but I think it's just asking the first time and then knowing from then on out, like reading the room, figuring out the situation as you go. For editing photos, banners, videos, I use Canva. Even though I have Photoshop and everything, I just feel like that takes too much time when I'm trying to get like a thumbnail done quickly. So I use Canva for all of that. Any tips for promoting a product-based or service if you don't have a large social media following yet? Yes, I know you don't have to have a social media following to launch a business. Most businesses are launched without one. It may be easier to do so, but you definitely don't have to. I would recommend reaching out to people on social media, whether it's influencers, whether it's you just sharing your story on someone else's podcast. Just getting out there in that regard is what's going to help you get out digitally. I guess if it's like an in-person, you can always reach out to like your local business centers in your city, your entrepreneurship centers, and go to networking events. I think is a great way to meet people face to face once these are, allowed again, social gatherings. But going to networking events, connecting with people in that regard actually is going to help them remember you and your business better than just like sending an Instagram DM. So it's totally achievable to do. I recommend having a private or a public Instagram if you're trying to grow your business or anything like that. Yeah, that's just what's needed nowadays for people to follow. Oh my gosh, so many good questions and answers. What would you say is the one trait or mindset that people need to have before creating content, products, or a business? So this is something that I had to learn, and it's that you need to believe in yourself more than you believe or in your business or in your product. Because like I said, I had a lot of things that I was super stoked about, like the course or the event that didn't get sold out. And like, yes, I'm passionate about those, but even if those things failed and the things that did fail, it didn't necessarily really get me down because I just think to myself, oh, well, I can try something else. I can try something new. So it's like believing in yourself more than you believe in what you're creating, which may be hard to do, especially if you get super excited about a project or something, but that's what I love. So we have a question about tips and advice for blogging. Lauren, if you're on here, I know you've had a lot of experience with blogging more than just vlogging. Would you want to answer any of your tips about like writing posts?
Yes, sure. Okay, so writing, it's funny enough, writing is it's both therapeutic, but then it also just takes forever, like an Instagram caption. So I think anytime that you're like writing, when it comes to blogging, something that I like to do is I'll first write down tons of like different topics in my head of what I can talk about. And then what I'll do is I will basically like pretend like I'm talking to like my best friend or something like that, so that when as I'm speaking and writing, like I want it to match. So if basically whatever I write, I want that same thing to be the thing that I could speak to a person if they were like right in front of me. So with blogging, I don't think that you need to have this like long drawn out, it's not like a college essay, it's nothing like that, but it's just more so about a conversation. So for example, I wrote a blog post about my reads and binges recently and like my Netflix worthy binge watching shows, and it was actual shows that I've been watching on Netflix, what I think about it, and I threw in some pop culture references. And so I think that with writing, it's just all about like your personality, what you can pour into it, and anytime someone reads something, they want to hear your voice and they want to hear everything that's coming from you to be authentic and genuine. So that's kind of how I deal with my writing. And then also another form of writing, if you're not blogging about certain topics, you can also maybe just write stories. I'm writing a book right now, Hollow Haven, and it's just fun to write something fictional, and it doesn't have to have all this pressure for me to like, you know, be perfect in my wording, which I don't even believe in, but I think that it's just really cool just to write what you feel and what you think, and people will resonate with that.
I love that. And going back to the question, I'd love for you, Lauren, and Kiara to answer this as well. What is the one trait you think someone, or mindset you think someone needs to have going into starting their dream project?
Oh, great. Yeah, Kiara, do you want to start? And then I can go after, yeah.
See, I was still thinking, trying to see. I was like, perfect, Lauren can go, and then I'll just sneak in. I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like something that Lauren and Hannah both possess, and maybe a little bit me too, is like you were saying, like to believe in yourself and to like trust in who you are. And I think that's such a gift to be able to grow up and to be really in touch with yourself and see your positives, even if you have to get a notebook and write down like, these are all the wonderful things about myself. Like I'm not perfect. I'm not very good at speaking even, but even like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes is good. Like I was nervous to come here today and speak, but I think it's good experience, and hopefully like you guys will learn that it's okay to be nervous. That doesn't have to stop you from being where you want to be.
I love that. Well, I could not tell your nerves from anything. You did a brilliant job. I loved everything you had to say. But yeah, I think in pursuing your dreams, the one thing that I have found is that it can be a true struggle. I mean, I have been met with adversity and just challenges and just literally in my bed crying because I'm like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even like trying to like achieve this thing, and it feeling just so far and so out of reach? And I think the thing that always brings me back is to one of my favorite videos on my YouTube channel, when I did a call to my subscriber video, and I was able to speak to people in Italy, Australia, France, Canada, and it was all these people who watched me. And mind you, back at that time, I mean, I only thought that like my mom and my grandma were watching my YouTube videos. So there was like a few more people there, and they were saying like, oh my gosh, like, you know, your videos encourage me, or they're inspiring me, or whatever it was. But just knowing that what I was doing was part of something bigger than myself. It was making an impact. And I think that's something with any dream at all. I mean, at the end of the day, we all just want to be heard. We want to feel like we're not alone. We want to feel connected. We want, you know, all these things where we're like, you know what, life is crazy, and we just don't want to be the only crazy ones in this life together. So I think when you are pursuing your dreams with everything you've got, like, that is something in itself is so amazing and so incredible. And we need more of that, because you never know who you could inspire. And that inspiring someone, pouring into someone else's life is probably the most fulfilling thing that you could ever accomplish in the world, to be honest. So that's what I would say.
Yes, 100% to both of you all. I love that. I think that's a great way to end the Q&A session with like that inspirational message from both of you guys. So lastly, we're going to do one more little giveaway, which let me go back to sharing the screen. It's been a challenge, but here we go. So for this one, guys, if you want to enter to win the Dream Achieve bundle, all you got to do is put in the chat what you've learned today from our speakers. It can be one point, it could be a broad idea, because I know they'll love reading through and seeing what you guys have learned, and I'll love to see it as well. And again, it's just going to be randomly selected, and I will announce it on my Instagram story later today. We got some Lizzo for Lauren. Yes. That was like up next on my playlist.
Shout out to Talia Lee. I'm on your YouTube channel now. Your
thumbnails are stalking some of you guys. I love it. You guys are awesome. Also, just want to say the fact that you're putting yourself out there and joining today and like investing this time into yourself, investing time into learning new things. Like, applause to you all too for doing that. And I can't wait to see all that you guys do. And yeah, oh, that's such a sweet message, Maria.
Bye everyone. You guys are awesome. Thanks, Hannah, for having me.
Thanks.
Bye. I will talk to you guys later. See you on the Instagram. Hopefully more of these will be coming. But yeah, thanks again. Bye.